speaker Ama Agyapong. During the session, make sure to submit your questions in the Q&A feature of the mobile app along with feedback at the end of the session. If anybody has questions in the room, I will have a mic and can bring it over to you as well. Thank you, and let's begin.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Hi. Okay, so I'm here from the South. I'm here from Atlanta, Georgia. And we believe in Southern hospitality. So when I say, hey, y'all, I need y'all to say, hey, Ama, okay? All right, so hey, y'all. Okay, now I feel more at home. All right, thank you so much for being here. My name is Ama Agyapong. I have over 15 years of HR leadership experience. I'm a certified EEOC investigator, so Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, Fortune 100 alum. A lot of people don't know I started my career in internal audit. I was actually recruited straight out of college, and that's when they said, all right, you are going to audit executives' expenses. Wait, what? And so I remember the first email I had to write to the CEO's secretary because of overuse of the company jet at 22 years old. I was petrified. So it was a good time, though. And then the coolest thing about me is that I am a millennial boy mom. So my son is 7. He is my absolute world. And my mom is a baby boomer. My grandmother is a 92-year-old traditionalist. So when you talk about feedback, wow, I get a lot of it, okay? So really happy to be here with you all today. My company is Inclusion Enterprises. We are a training and development firm. So we come in, if you are dealing with engagement issues, turnover issues, we come in and we make feedback your leadership superpower because we truly believe feedback is how you fuel growth and trust within an organization. So here is my request to you, even though you just met me, I'm already making demands. So please participate, okay? This won't be fun if you just sit here and listen to me speak. Listen to learn. You're probably gonna hear something that you already know. I will say Kwame set me up so well for today. He was absolutely fantastic. And he talked about difficult conversations and the empathy loop and all of those things. I'm like, okay, Kwame, thank you. And then let's have some fun. Are we in agreement to that? Yes? All right, awesome. And then I'd be remiss not to welcome the people online logging in. Thank you for being here, especially thank you for being here with me. We feel your virtual presence, and hopefully with some of our activities, you all are able to effectively participate as well. So a couple of learning objectives, you see them on the screen, but here's my goal. I hope you walk away with the framework that you are actually going to try, okay? So if you have someone that you need to give some feedback to about performance, this is why you should listen to me. If you need to provide findings to maybe a difficult director, manager, CEO, you should listen to me, all right? Or if you're dealing with something personally and you're like, ooh, this person get on my nerves and I gotta tell them why, you should also listen to me, okay? So we are going to talk about some feedback dilemmas, we're going to do a networking activity, and then most importantly, we're gonna talk about the GIFT feedback framework, and then we're gonna be out of here, all right? So here's my question to you, because I know what typically happens, and this is why I called it the F word. Most people don't like giving feedback. It feels like the dirty F word. When they have to give feedback to someone, they're like, right? But they either let behaviors continue, they let bad performance continue, and then it just sits inside and it festers. And so you might see the person walk in the office, and in your mind, you're like, ooh, they make my skin crawl. They're just here to get a paycheck. They don't care about this job. But you never actually tell them. And so here's how it manifests. It manifests through passive-aggressive behaviors, bad attitudes, sometimes blow-ups, but the problem is never resolved. So my question to you is, why? Why are people so hesitant to give feedback? Please raise your hand. We have a runner because I want to hear from you. And if you are online, please put your responses in the chat. I want to hear from you all. Why are people hesitant to give constructive feedback? Raise hands. This is the part you participate. Yeah, all right, thank you.
People get offended.
People get offended, yes. Who else? Oh, yes.
We're all too nice, so being from the Midwest, we call it Midwest nice, and so we don't want to offend anybody.
Oh, that niceness is so interesting to me. You are absolutely right. I worked at a university and they called it blank nice. It was an Ivy League. And I was like, this doesn't feel nice. Y'all are gossiping. Right? Just not saying it to the person's face. So thank you for saying that. I can take one more.
It's uncomfortable.
Ooh, it's uncomfortable. And my friend here in the front, you can shout it out, I'll repeat it. Fear. Yes, uncomfortable. Fear. Absolutely. These are the things that stops us from giving feedback. But here's what I'll tell you. One of the ways to make feedback a more comfortable situation is by building relationships. When you build relationships with someone, you're essentially telling them, hey, I have your best interest at heart. So when I actually tell you what you're not doing, it is from a place of caring. So here are a few tips to build relationships. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, but does anyone know the positive-negative ratio? Does anyone know what it is? Harvard did a study on it. Shout it out, right or wrong. Nope, 5-to-1. So what does this mean? You need to make, I'm dealing with auditors, so y'all will get this. You need to make 5 deposits in the bank, in the relationship bank, before making one withdrawal. Now, this does not mean you're going around and saying, hey, Ama, love your shoes, love the glasses. Oh, yeah, your energy's great. Thank you for showing up. And, yep, you used AI today. Yeah, great job. Now, here's all the reasons why you suck. Like, that is not what we're doing, okay? That is not what we're doing. It's genuine connections with the person. It's genuinely recognizing someone's brilliance. So then, when you are telling them away their strength, they're not able to achieve their strengths by what they're doing, now they can understand and typically receive it. But it's not fail-proof. Breaking bread. So when you are having a conversation with someone, BBC did a study that says when you share a meal with someone, your brain releases endorphins and oxytocin, and it's telling your body to bond. So they did a report. They did an article and a bunch of studies on what happens with your body and with your brain and with your hormones when you eat with someone and it's telling you socially bond. So if you have to have a difficult discussion, sharing a meal with someone could be helpful. Or if you want to just get to know someone, sharing a meal. One-on-ones. How many of us do one-on-ones? Have one-on-ones with our, I love this, yay, I'm with my people, this is great. Yes, when you have one-on-ones with someone, you want to do it every month, every other week. The least amount is quarterly. If you're only waiting to performance reviews before you have a conversation with someone, let's talk afterwards, okay? You don't have to, expose yourself, but let's talk afterwards. However, how often do you audit your one-on-ones? So when you are having one-on-ones with someone, whether you're a leader or whether you are someone who is an employee looking to progress, those one-on-ones are important. So who's doing most of the talking? Ask yourself that. You should be asking very intentional questions during the one-on-one. Are you requiring your people to always come to you because you're the boss? Or are you going into their space? It could be a walking chat. Be creative with how you're having the one-on-ones. But again, you want to have 3 types of one-on-ones, okay? So one is going to be professional, of course. The other one's going to be personal. And the third one's going to be aspirational. So the professionals, those are the goals, those are the objectives, what came out of the investigation, tell me about that risk audit, what's going on with compliance, where are we with the ethics training, all of those things. Personal is going to be like, what's going on with you? Because I see the human. That so happens to be my employee. And then aspirational, those are career development conversations. Those are conversations where you want to know how you can help support someone who wants to grow, or you're telling your boss what your aspirations are, okay? Any questions on this piece? And please utilize the Q&A to put questions in, but these one-on-ones are very important, especially when you are building relationships, because we want to deposit into the relationship bank, not withdraw. Now, we talked about great questions. So I've often had one-on-ones. I've often been in one-on-ones where it's like, so tell me how I can support you. I'm like, that feels generic, okay? Or so, how's the family? Good. Now what else? So these are some really good, intentional, open-ended questions to get to know someone a bit more. Now we're about to do an activity with these questions. So as you see, for example, tell me something about yourself I can't get from a resume. Why is that important? Because then someone can share something with you about one of their strengths, previous experience, something they like to do that I guarantee will either help your team or your company in the moment or later, okay? Another thing, is there an element of your brilliance that is being underutilized? Imagine saying something like that to your team and discovering who they are besides what just shows up in the workplace. So here's what you're going to do. You, in a moment, are going to stand up. If you're online, you're going to put responses to these questions, whatever question you want to, in the chat. I'm only going to give you like 2 minutes because y'all will be mad at me if you're here longer than an hour. But you're going to introduce yourselves to each other. Find someone you don't know. Introduce yourself. So you're going to walk up. Don't be weird. Don't just like go straight into the question and say who you are. So hi, like my name is Ama. What's your name? You're going to tell me, hey, my name is Tom. Perfect. You're going to choose one of these questions. What's a question you wish people would ask you more? Tom is going to respond. And then Tom is going to ask me one of these questions. It could be the same. It could be different. But this is a way for us to just get to know each other more, okay? In like 2 minutes. All right, everybody stand if you can, please. I invite you to stand with me. Okay. The time starts now. Go meet someone. All right, people online, I hope you are putting in your responses to these questions, letting us know different parts about yourself. So please put in the chat something about yourself that you can't get from a resume. Put in the chat, if you were a trust fund baby and money wasn't an issue, like what would you do? What's a question you wish people would ask you more? And finally, is there an element of your brilliance that is being underutilized? Please put it in the chat. We want to hear from you as well. All right, you have 1 more minute left. 1 more minute left. Seconds left. All right, clap once if you can hear me. You're like, clap twice if you can hear me. Clap 3 times if you can hear me. Oh, good. Okay, so how did that feel? How did that feel to ask these type of questions to someone you don't know? Fun, good, anything else? Did anyone learn something like cool or surprising about someone? Yeah, ooh, okay, do tell. All right. Someone shout something out. What did you learn about someone? Wow, used to live in Texas where you currently work at. Very cool. Someone else. What? We have someone here from Hawaii, y'all. That is amazing. I can take one more. Something cool you learned about someone. Yes.
I don't want to double down, but my partner is also from Hawaii.
Your partner's also. Well, where's my invite? That's the question. We have another person here from Hawaii. That is incredible. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating in that. So I have a little disclaimer, I guess I want to share, confession, that I am naturally an introvert, which is funny. So I always say I'm an introvert with an extrovert calling. And I know walking into conferences where people automatically know each other, I can get a bit intimidated sometimes. So I was like, you know what, in my session, we're going to force a little bit of networking. So here's what I'm going to request. Now you all have said hello to each other, so if you see each other in the hallway, say hello, okay? Now we know each other, we are family. But imagine asking these type of questions to your team, and you have more time to delve deeper. So think about AI. Ask AI 10 open-ended, intentional questions to learn more about my team, to learn more about their strengths, and to learn more about their aspirations. And if you want to even add to that, aspirations and strengths that can help with X project. Now you're going to get very intentional questions that you can ask during your one-on-ones. So let's get into feedback and how we do it. Here's why I decided to really double down on the importance of feedback, because sometimes there can be inequities. Did you all know that women receive more personality-based feedback than men do? Let's just see here in the room. How many people in performance reviews or one-on-ones have been told that they are nice? Or not nice? You're difficult. You're too assertive, right? Like all of those things? Yeah. Here's another thing, high performers. High performers are, I think, 50% more likely to get non-actionable feedback during performance reviews. Why? Because they're getting great job, attaboy, keep it going, but nothing constructive to help them develop. 76% of high-performing women get negative feedback compared to 2% of men, high-performing men. Where do these studies come from? Ama, you just making this up. I'm not, I promise. So there is a company by the name of Textio based out of Seattle. It's a software company. They looked at 22,000 performance reviews. And they used AI to do I shouldn't say AI because now Kwame told me there's a bias against AI. So they analyzed these performance reviews to see language bias, if there are inequities, to see what are some consistent patterns within those performance reviews. So why am I telling you this? Because it's something to be aware of. And you heard me talk about actionable feedback. So what is actionable feedback? It's examples to learn from and advice to act on. So even when you are providing findings within your analysis or your report or your investigation, give them examples to learn from and advice to act on. That is actionable feedback. And yes, I have a framework. We're about to go over it. But even if you don't remember the framework, remember advice to act on, examples to learn from. So that means if you're telling someone, hey, your behavior during the ethics audit alarmed some of the people on the leadership team, that's not giving anything specific. So you have to tell the person specifically what they did. Take the label away. Let's talk about labels. So, culturally sensitive feedback. You have high context culture, low context culture, okay? Low context culture, that's more Western culture, so Germany, US, Australia. That type of culture tends to be very direct, a little bit more egalitarian, more individualistic. Low context culture like, US, we use something called upgraders. Upgraders are a linguistic language that helps to strengthen a message. Why is this important? Because if you tell someone our results from that audit was absolutely unacceptable, absolutely is an upgrader. Absolutely strengthens that message, and guess what? Absolutely is gonna really pee somebody off. Okay? Now then you have low context or high context cultures. Those are cultures like Japanese culture, highest context culture out there. Those are cultures like cultures from different African nations. And that's a culture that really values niceness, politeness. They value hierarchy and harmony. So they tend, and these are generalizations, but based on studies, they tend to use downgraders. Downgraders could sound like, that the results were a little bit startling, or, you kind of could improve your accuracy. Well, that doesn't show you the strength of the message. So what can wind up happening is you walk away and you're like, I can improve my accuracy a little bit. It's not that bad. Meanwhile, the leader's like, no, what you don't understand is you're about to get fired. Okay? So that's the importance of really acknowledging your language. This has been big for me because I'm a little dramatic, so I'll be like, oh my God, I literally died, right? Like, did you literally, are these upgraders important? Now, the last thing I'm gonna say is American culture, specifically in the US, really values the sandwich method when giving feedback. I hate the sandwich method, okay? I wanna kick it off of a building because it confuses the brain. The brain doesn't know what to latch on. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this do I have one last chance? Is this something to just work on? So the sandwich method is not helpful. So we have to remember to be direct but kind and also watch our colloquialisms. I've learned this as being a parent. I give you an inch, you take a mile. And he's like, Mommy, what is a mile? I gotta go outside and run? What does that mean? That's a colloquialism. So when you are giving feedback to someone, it's important to understand that you all are speaking the same language and define those words as the same. So this was satisfactory. Does satisfactory to them mean the same as satisfactory to you? These are things to really keep in mind. So how did we get here? I created the GIFT feedback framework. GIFT stands for gain permission, identify the facts, frame the impact, and trigger collaboration. Here's a little story and why I created this. Because I was once a horrible boss. Horrible. I made people feel devalued. I made people feel not seen or heard, like whatever they did wasn't good enough. And in my mind, I was giving them feedback very directly. And I didn't care about timing, and I didn't care about how it was landing. And as a result, there was high turnover. There was low morale and low engagement. So at this company, Fortune 50 retailer, we took something called engagement surveys, and my engagement surveys were one of the worst in the region. Yeah, whoa, it's right. I heard a little bit of judgment, but it's fine. I'm past it. It's okay. It was like, dang, girl, whoa. Okay? So what happened? I had to figure something out or I was gonna lose my job. And the way I like to vacation, I needed my coins. I could not lose my job. So I had to fix a lot of things. But how I give feedback was one of them. And that went into how can I give someone something actionable, give someone advice to learn from, and examples to act on. So when we're talking about gain permission, we don't want to just approach someone and give the feedback. Oftentimes for you all, it might be meetings scheduled or that type of thing, but you still want to prep the brain. Kwame talked about the amygdala today. We want to keep someone in the frontal lobe and that prefrontal cortex, the rational part. The moment you give someone feedback, even the moment you're like, hey, we need to talk, they're like, oh, Lord. And that amygdala could take over because it's like threat. So I'm not good enough. Threat. I'm not good enough. I didn't do a good job. Threat. So you want to ask them something very specific, gain the permission. So for example here, do you have a moment to talk through the risk matrix from their last report. Now they know exactly what you're going to talk about. It's not a bait and switch, okay? Now, in this moment, adults like to give a choice. They have a choice. So they either want to say yes or they're either going to say no. If they say no, that's okay. They still going to get this feedback, okay? But maybe not right at this moment. So then you ask them, okay, if not right now, when within the next 48 hours will we be able to meet? And then you schedule the time. Then you want to identify the facts. So this is something neutral, it's objective, there are no labels, it's based on data, okay? So when you're identifying the facts, it's either going to be from patterns and trends that you've seen. So I've had a client before, it was one of the largest cabinet companies, and I had to give the leader feedback because they had the highest turnover rate out of every leader, and it was specifically turnover for people 30 days or lower. And so I had to base it off of data. But then, as I was a leader, I noticed behaviors that happened in meetings. So then I had to base that off of observations, okay? So for example here, in the Q2 vendor audit, your team used the previous regional matrix rather than the updated global model we used last quarter. That's very specific. That's not saying, I gotta give you feedback, is that okay? You all are you just seem really bent on using past information, and that's hurting us. That's not giving specifics. But anytime, and write this down, anytime you give a fact, you want to give the impact of the fact. Fact, impact. It can be impact to you, but what if they don't care about you? Then it's impact to the company, to the team, to the mission. Find that common ground. So you're giving the impact. So for example here, using different risk models weakens our global credibility. It creates inconsistencies, erodes board trust, raises red flags for regulators. Those are very tangible facts that impacts the person. If it's a behavior, the impact could be to the way the team operates. The impact could be to the end user, to the customer. What I've seen a lot with internal auditors is sometimes, not all of you, probably nobody in this room, but sometimes I would notice auditors would even lead the conversation with certain bravado and certain body language. So they're coming in accusatory, like I gotcha, versus collaborative, versus asking open-ended questions to learn more about whatever mistakes that department has made. And you get a different result. So it's very simple. If I came out here and I was like, hi, everyone, thank you for being here. Super excited and here to talk about feedback. And with feedback, yeah, it's important to frame the impact. My words are not aligning with my body language or my tone. And with communication, only 7% are words. So when you're going in to whatever stakeholders, think about this as you are relaying the message. Am I leading with curiosity? Now, after you frame the impact, you want to pause and invite the person into the conversation. So you're not saying, these results were awful and you better fix it or your team is going to get downsized, walk off. We're not doing that, okay? So after you have framed the impact, you open the conversation up for conversation. So you're inviting the person into the solution. So for example here, what would make it easier for your team to switch to the new framework? Because the open-ended trigger collaboration question shows that you don't know everything, and maybe there's something missing. Same with your team. If they're lagging behind for efficiency, or if they're lagging behind because of, I don't know, accuracy or not meeting deadlines, what exactly is getting in the way of us meeting these deadlines? What barriers can I remove to make it easier for you to achieve the deadline? You see how that's open-ended questions and it's more collaboration. Okay? Now, I have some people ask, okay, Ama, what if I've done all that? 9 times out of 10, you haven't. But even if you think you've done all of that, how do I document this? You document every conversation. And you can document it exactly within the GIFT framework. And at the end, if it's that serious of a conversation, the purpose of trigger collaboration is to gain buy-in. And so each person knows the advice to act on. So moving forward, do we agree that this A, B, C is going to happen? Perfect. If it is the last conversation, I'm documenting this. And just to let you know, if these goals are not reached, here is the result. So it's about being very honest and upfront about the feedback. But again, you are inviting the person within the conversation. So we're about to do an activity. Let me check my time. We're about to do an activity, but that we talked about work, right? This is how you can use this in work, but you can also use this in your personal life. I mean, I have a 7-year-old, so I have to use it all the time. So here's an example. Hey, buddy, can I talk to you about the toys all over the floor? Oh, I'm playing right now. No, I get it, but can we talk now? Okay, all right, great. I've noticed, you see I say I've noticed a lot. I've noticed over the past 3 days, every time we come home from school, there's constantly toys over the floor from what you have played with earlier that morning. When there are toys, framing the impact, when there are toys all over the floor, not only can you hurt yourself, but also it leaves a lot of extra work for mommy to do. And when mommy has extra work, that impacts you because then we're late to wrestling, we're late to soccer, and all of those things. Trigger collaboration. What can we do to help you remember to clean up behind yourself after you play with your toys? And then I listen to the 7-year-old talk. Oftentimes, it doesn't make a lot of sense what he says. Oh, Mama, you can just pick it up. But I can't. But I can't, okay? But then you trigger the collaboration. Same thing in the workplace. Let's say you're talking about behaviors. Hey, Ama, do you have time to speak? Yep. I noticed in the meetings, every time that Clara and Sarah speak up to talk about an idea, you cut them off, and you often say the same idea twice. For example, I give the example when it happened. This has actually happened 3 times. When that frame the impact, when that happens in meetings, it doesn't make it feel open for people to share ideas, and it can stifle innovation because now people don't want to share. Trigger collaboration. Is there something that I'm doing in the meeting to make you feel like you have to jump in every time Sarah and Clara speak? As you see, I'm putting it on myself. And then I zip it and I let the person talk. What can we do moving forward? How can I help you? Some people are like, I didn't even know I did this. I just want to talk. Okay, how can I help you moving forward to share the space for everyone in the room? Now this is a dialogue. Versus, I got you, you're wrong, you're bad, you're this, you're that, you don't care. All of these labels. The labels do not improve performance, and they don't improve team engagement. So I just said a lot. And some of you are probably thinking like, oh, I probably do need to have a conversation with such and such. Or you're thinking, yeah, but this would never work with such and such. And so now I want you to craft a conversation for such and such. Okay? Please, again, if you have questions, put it in. People online, if you have questions, please put it in. But what I want you to do is I want you to draft a conversation for an unreliable person using the GIFT feedback framework. I'm not giving you the definition of unreliable because that's based upon what you think unreliable is. And when you're doing that, it's important to think to yourself, what assumptions are you making about this person? And how might your personal experiences impact that? So for example, if someone's unreliable, we might just assume they don't want to work, they don't want this job, they don't care about the audit, they don't care about compliance. Or it could be something else going on with them. We just don't know. And that's why the conversation is important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a whole whopping 5 minutes to draft this conversation. And I want to see everyone writing about some unreliable person because somebody popped into your mind. I want you to draft this conversation for the person that popped into your mind. So what you're going to do, you're going to write out, hey, Ama, do you have time to talk about whatever it is? Identify the facts. You're going to frame the impact, and then you're going to have an open-ended question you're going to ask at the end to trigger collaboration. Yeah, I told you you're going to work today. Are there any questions about what you're doing? Questions? You can do it in your phone, you can do it on your paper, whatever works for you. You're drafting a conversation for an unreliable person. All right, time starts now. You have about 3 minutes left. And people online, I hope you are doing this too. Let me find out they're having a party. Two minutes left. Did you choose this song? Say something. I was like, how perfect is that? All right, we have about another minute left. All right, wonderful people. I know some of you might be thinking, Ama, you didn't give me that much time. And that is because I don't want us to think it takes a lot of time to prep for a feedback conversation. Because oftentimes we can overanalyze so much that we just don't do it, okay? So, a few things I want you to remember. You gotta do some research. You have to do your homework first. Because if you try to look for the data point for this label or how you're feeling, and you can't quite find data points and you can't quite find impact, then 9 times out of 10, that's your personal preference, AKA bias. So So you might not have something specific about the person, but they make you feel a way. That can mean just wait and look for the data and look for more patterns before you address it. But okay, so you wrote these conversations. I'm not gonna ask you to role play because this is our first date. If it was a second date, though, we would be role playing, okay? But what I would like to know is, how did it feel? First question, how did it feel to write out a conversation? To literally sit there and write it out, going by a framework. Someone, how did that feel? I see you smiling at me over here. I see you smiling. The smiles mean, yes, I want to talk. Thank you. So how did it feel for you? It felt good? Okay, what part felt good? Nice. Okay, thank you for that. So those of you online, one of our friends in the room said it felt good, and all of it felt pretty good because she hasn't sat down to list a conversation or write a conversation based on a framework like this. And someone else, yes?
It's very difficult to trigger collaboration if you're preparing for the interview of a negative person.
So difficult to trigger collaboration during an interview of a negative person. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you think if you trigger collaboration, the negative person is going to just make the conversation take a spin in the wrong direction. Perfect. So one thing I want to tell you is when you're having a conversation with a negative person, have a strengths-based conversation. Strengths-based conversation means your behavior is getting in the way of your strengths. Yes.
Identify the facts.
Yes.
I would say by saying, I don't trust you.
Oh, okay. Wow. No. So, I don't trust you. Very valid. Identify the facts or the actions that led to you feeling like you don't trust them. That's the difference, right? And so I wouldn't say have a long list. Once you get to like 8 things you did that I don't trust you, it feels like, oh my gosh, okay? I stick with about 3, and those would be the data points. That's a really good question though, because some of these things might be soft skills, and there is no data or patterns or reports to support the soft skill, but actions do, okay? Yes?
It's also a feeling. I mean, negative, it's a connotation, it's subjective. For you, it's negative, but for
Right.
somebody else, it may not be. So,
And that's the purpose of the trigger collaboration. The trigger collaboration allows you all to see if you're aligned with your definition, and you're teaching them what it means to you by the data points. That's the importance of the data points and the impact. I saw you raise your hand.
yeah, while doing the activity, it felt intentional because I applied the framework.
Yep.
And then it makes me feel like it's going to be very effective.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, my friend in the red. Absolutely. Our friend in the red said doing it in this pattern and in this structure with the framework, it allows you to identify negative trigger words. Absolutely. And even if you're like, I don't know what to say because I really don't like this person and just their face triggers me, right? Like let's say it's that. I know that's none of you. It's been me before. So put it in ChatGPT. Put the framework in ChatGPT and say, structure a conversation based on this framework, removing upgraders, removing downgraders, removing negative trigger words, so I can be effective with this impact in mind. It's going to list it out. I've had to do it before. Okay? So thank you for that. Did any part feel difficult? Did any part feel difficult while you were writing this? Like, oh, I don't know what exactly to put for this part. Anyone? Yes.
I'm not necessarily the impact, at least for me, but I do appreciate how you said it was more intentional, because it kind of breaks down, I guess, the conversation and what you're trying to drive home.
Yep. Yes, it breaks down the conversation, what you're trying to drive home, and it makes you a lot more intentional. Again, there might be some homework you have to do on the front end to really understand what the data points are and what the impact is. But that is worth it if you want to yield a specific result. And the specific result is growth, is change in behavior. Now, the other thing that's important with trigger collaboration, have any of you ever given someone feedback and you're like, hey, I've noticed your accuracy in this has dropped by this %, and here are the things I think you can do to improve it. Does that make sense? And then they respond with, oh, so you don't want me to work here? Wait, what? I didn't even say that, right? And then next thing you know, they're reporting you to HR, and you're like, I ain't even say that. Sorry, personal situation. So that is why it is so important to trigger the collaboration in the conversation. It's protective because you want to know what they heard. And if they heard something you didn't say and what they heard exposes yourself to liability, I told y'all I'm an EEOC investigator, so I'm like, what can this lead to? That lets you know you might need to partner with HR. Or they might have heard something, you're like, actually, that's not exactly what I meant, and then you all can realign within the conversation. Or the trigger collaboration could be, hey, what are some ideas that you have that can improve this project? And they might come up with some really great ideas. And now there's buy-in because they said it. So that open-ended question at the end is extremely, extremely important. So awesome job. You all clap it up for yourselves because you did great. You did great. But here's the thing. Education without action is entertainment. So though we laughed and I had a great time with y'all, okay, I need you to use it. I need you to go have the conversation you just wrote down. I need you to do your homework and understand what the data points are and what the impact is. Some data points are easy. You can get it from reports. You can get it from assessments. You can get it from compliance. You can get it from those things. Some aren't so easy. But do your homework. Talk about the impact and ask the question so you can build connection after the conversation. Okay? I want to open it up for questions. But before I do, you can scan this. You'll get a PDF form that'll allow you to assess certain things, and then you get the framework as well. It also allows me to keep in touch with you. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to chat with any of you. If you have very specific questions to your team, I'm here so you can chat with me afterwards. But now we're going to open it up for questions. Let's see. How do you give feedback to a superior who is not open to receiving feedback of any kind? So that is difficult. I want to acknowledge that. The other thing I will say is the GIFT framework still works, but with people that aren't receptive to feedback, it's important to, what do they call it? Overcome the objection before they say it. So say the things you think they're thinking. I know you probably don't want to hear this, especially from me. That's overcoming the objection. I know you're really busy, and there's a lot on your plate that we probably don't see. That's overcoming the objection. You want to say the things that they're probably thinking, but remember to connect with their humanity and then use the GIFT framework. Hey, here's what I've noticed. These are the data points. This is the impact, though I know you don't mean get them off the hook. I know this is not your intention. However, this has been the impact. Does what I'm saying make sense? Or I just said a lot. How is this landing for you? Or I was nervous to even bring this to your attention, but I know you want to do a really good job. What are your thoughts about what I just said? You're connecting with their humanity. Second question. I have a team member that always focuses on the negative. We have an audit wrap-up meetings to provide value for future audits, and she uses this as finger-pointing exercise. She does not take responsibility, and she has been an auditor for 11 years. So this can be a sidebar conversation. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's a bunch of questions I have. Typically, people who are negative within the workplace are disgruntled, and they're disgruntled for a reason, and we need to get to that reason. We need to understand what it is, and again, connect with their humanity. But with negative people, again, you want to work with their strengths. So I know you've been here for a while. I know you probably feel unheard at times. This is what you do really, really well. And, you see I said and not but, and the data points, the impact is getting in the way. I just said a lot. I want to hear your thoughts. Or this process is really screwed up, excuse the expression, I think, but I want to hear your thoughts on how to improve it. Open-ended question. If you were me, how would you handle this situation? Right? Now, that negative person is looked at as a resource, and typically they don't feel heard anyway, and so now you're saying, I hear you. All right, other question. What if the person you need to get feedback to goes from person to person in department and plants like, ooh, I can't stand this person. Sorry. Everyone in the department is scared to interact with them. I have additional questions with this one, so this can be a sidebar. I want to know, is this someone who reports to you, or is this like a fellow coworker? Because that's important too. But I believe in being direct. So, hey, it's come to my attention by 4 different people that you've said X, Y, and Z. Like, hey, I know what it is. I'm going to stand on business. We're going to talk about it, okay? So you've said X, Y, and Z. Those are the data points. Here's the impact. Not only the impact to me, because they might not care about you, but the impact to the team. The open-ended question is something very direct. I'm asking that if you have a problem with me, you come to me first so we can talk about it. But I also understand I might not make that so easy. What can I do to make you feel more comfortable to come speak with me first? Do you see how that's very direct in addressing it, but there's still also compassion because you're acknowledging areas you might go wrong as well? Okay, how do you give feedback to an individual who is a member of protected class and they automatically say they're receiving feedback because blank, blank, blank? That's exactly why I created this framework. Because as an EEOC investigator, especially with non-selection cases, there was typically ageism, discrimination, racism, sexism, all of those things as to why they didn't get the position. And oftentimes, the foundation of that is they never received the feedback. And so if you consistently give them feedback, you actually have the data points, you have the impact of the data points, you have the documentation, and in the documentation you put the open-ended question you asked them and what their response was, you are protected. So just because they are a protected characteristic, they have a protected characteristic, that doesn't mean you stop giving feedback. Studies showed the reverse. Because of the protected characteristic, they get less feedback. And if they report you, you give even less feedback, and now that's considered retaliation, which is against the law. So keep giving the feedback, but follow a framework and document it as you give the feedback. But if there's more there that we need to discuss, talk to me afterwards. How can you ask managers to give you feedback when you are a top performer? Yes. Hey, Ama, I really appreciate that you respect what I contribute. I appreciate that you really see the value in what I do. Here are my numbers. Like, you're telling them what your numbers are. However, I feel like there's areas I can improve, and I don't feel like I'm getting that from you. So what can I do within the next 30 days, make it very specific, within the next 30 days to improve this specific process? If they're like, I don't know, do you mind thinking about it? And we reconvene in 48 hours because I really want to contribute to the success of this team. So it has to be very specific and targeted. One of your slides mentioned ask for feedback regularly. This suggests that subordinates are responsible for requesting feedback, and the line managers also voluntarily. Actually, the manager should be asking for feedback regularly. So yes, the employee should, the subordinate should, but the manager should as well. And a way to ask for feedback without saying, hey, give me feedback on how I'm doing. If you were me in this position, how would you handle it? Tell me 2 things that I can do this week to make your job easier. What is a barrier that I don't know exists that I can help remove? That's from a leadership perspective. As an employee, you're asking for, hey, I would like feedback on this process. Hey, I would like feedback on how I can improve in this area. For both, I am working on X. Please give me feedback on how this shows up within this project, within this audit, within working with people. And then the last question on here, I have an employee that always responds with, I'm fine, nothing you can help me with, or I don't know. When any questions are asked to try to give them the problem, how can I help them open up more? So this is a question you can actually put in any AI. So you can put this exact question in AI and say, give me open-ended questions to build more of a relationship. Another thing you can do is take them out of their space. So whether it's walking, whether it's over breakfast, lunch, coffee, whatever those things, and say that, hey, I noticed that, it's not on here anymore. I noticed that things are a bit awkward between us. Or I noticed that when I speak to you, you seem to revert back into a shell a little bit. I would love to know more about that. What am I doing to cause that? But take them out of their space and put it on you. What am I doing? And then last question, effective feedback is very much relying on self-awareness, that it is. Any tips besides providing timely feedback in order to share specific? Yeah, so I love emotional intelligence assessments. I love the DISC assessment because it tells you how you show up. But another thing I can do, I think is important, is starting your meetings off with a certain tone. So sending those agendas out ahead of time for meetings and having a question, whether it's relationship building questions, whether it's feedback questions, whether it's a question to allow people to connect more, because then that is going to open the door up a little bit more with the self-awareness piece. But it requires intentional questions on the front end. It could have some assessments as well. And then 360s are also really good so people can get feedback from different areas. But again, if you have more questions, let's talk afterwards. I think that's my time, y'all. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Rob took my idea. I was so mad this morning. I was like, I do selfies, okay? But if you all are available afterwards and you're open to it, I would love to take a selfie with you, like as a big group. But thank you. If you have to go, I totally understand. Thank you so much, everyone. I love to connect with all of you.
Thank you, Ama. Attendees, we hope you enjoyed this session. Please share your feedback via the session survey in the app. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
With this Prince song inside my head. Hands up if you're down to get down tonight.
Where all my keys, I lost my phone.